This is Off the Break Podcast, presented by Silver Screen Insider.
Welcome to Off the Break Podcast, our first podcast in the year 2020.
Woohoo!
We
Happy
made it,
2020.
guys. Nice. And we're all here, too.
Yeah, Eric finally came back to us.
Yeah.
Finally.
He did not get lost in the wilderness.
Almost.
He has returned.
Almost.
But you had a great holiday, great Christmas,
Oh,
great
yeah.
New Year.
It was fantastic.
Good.
Everything I could have ever dreamed of.
Wow. That's a heck of a holiday.
It was a great time. What about you guys?
It was good for me. I had a great time.
Yeah, me too. Kids had fun. I had fun watching kids have fun. I realized how much I love being part of Christmas and part of Santa and doing the
Oh,
parent
like from
Santa
the parent
thing.
side of
Yeah.
it?
Oh, I love
I
it.
bet.
It is so much fun.
I bet.
That does not sound like fun.
No.
But I just am
That
not a
sounds like
parent.
the most
Yeah.
fun.
yeah.
You don't have to be a parent. That would be like the best thing ever.
Right.
Yeah.
Like hiding the presents, finding the different wrapping paper, like thinking of all the ins and outs, and then like setting them up like a tower in front of the Christmas tree.
Fair
I feel
enough,
like
then.
my work here is done.
Well, what do we have to talk about today then for our first ever podcast of the new
I
year?
think we should spend the new year talking about Star Wars. What do you guys think?
I mean, if we have to.
Yeah, that sounds like what everyone else is doing, so we might as well
No, I'm
join
just
them.
kidding. I would. It'll be nice to actually talk about it here in person.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we only heard a snippet
I
of
hated
your
hearing
thoughts.
that. I hated hearing
Really?
it.
Oh, you were
Hated it.
fine.
Because you had to listen to your voice, or why?
Well, that and it's like because immediately after I got out, I just pulled up the note thing on my
Yeah.
phone and I made like a bullet points of like things, of my immediate thoughts. And then when I was going through trying to like say it out loud, like I was trying so hard to like chain all of my thoughts together into something that doesn't sound super rambling and meandering.
Mm-hmm.
And because I was so focused on that, I didn't realize how like angry it sounded. I was like, I'm not that angry about
Maybe
it.
you
But when
were.
I'm listening to it, I maybe
I actually didn't.
like subconsciously, I'm like, God, Eric, it's just a movie.
I didn't think you sounded angry. I just sounded. It just sounded like you knew you were right all along.
I mean, maybe.
Like it sounded like you were like, yeah, this is about what I expected it to be.
Well, I guess to start off our Star Wars discussion, let's go around and say whether we liked it or we didn't
Okay.
like it.
Well, let's start with you then, and we'll go in
I
a circle.
Did not like it.
You did not like it.
No. What about you, Kyle?
I was initially on the middle ground of it, but more time has passed to make me like it less and less. But I don't think it's one of my worst movies of the year or nothing like that. It's still a very competent movie, but I just think there's been a lot of missteps.
Just kidding.
A lot of missteps to show that it's not thought out in any way like we all
So
hoped
it
Star Wars
doesn't
would be.
sound like that competent of a movie.
It's not the most incompetent movie.
Maybe.
I liked it.
Well, cool. We'll have a good little balance.
There were definitely things I didn't like. I think that I, in fact, like Last Jedi a little bit more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was right about this all
I
along.
like Last
We
Jedi
did it,
more.
Eric.
Time will be so much kinder to The Last Jedi than Rise
Yes.
of Skywalker.
I don't know. Lately
I
I've
can
been
see it immediately.
Yeah.
seeing well, actually that's partially true because after the movie Rise of Skywalker came out, there was a whole Twitter hashtag movement that was saying thank you Rian Johnson for
Yes.
Last Jedi, but then to counter that there was fans going thank you JJ hashtag thank you JJ. And it's
Oh.
like
I don't
They're in their
know
honeymoon period with this
who
movie.
is saying thank you for that.
I don't know.
I mean, it was good.
diehard fans that don't know what they want.
I guess
don't,
thanks for closing it out, so it wasn't
guess.
a
there was
garbage
some of that.
fire
There was
of
some.
a film.
There was some genuine like thank you for closing out a trilogy I love or a series I love. But then there's others that are like thank you for sticking it to Ryan, and it's like
Oh,
the one thing that
No.
that I've been telling myself is, as crazy as it is to me to think this, like how I felt the first time because I saw it twice. My first viewing, the feeling I was left with in the theater must have been what so many people were feeling after Last Jedi came out. And it's just like bizarre to be on that side of it. It's like, whoa, this is what it's like.
Just
I don't
so
like
disappointed.
this. I don't like this.
But the difference is that Last Jedi is better, and they don't know it.
Well, my point is like I don't want to get angry. Not that I would, anyways. But the last thing I want to do is try and like give people a hard time for liking this movie because it seems like Star Wars fans hate Star Wars, you know?
Right.
Like you're always hearing people complaining about the things that they hate about these movies. And it's like, do you even like these?
Well,
So the more people that actually like them, the better. That makes me happy.
what were some things you did like about the movie? Because I have a couple that I liked.
And before we go in, this is going to be a full spoiler discussion.
Oh, full
as well.
spoilers.
I think everyone's seen the movie. I think we'll
Yeah.
be fine, but just a heads up, because now all three of us have seen it, we want to talk a lot. So
Was there anything you liked about it?
There,
Did you like Palpatine?
no.
I didn't like Palpatine either.
The thing with me, it's hard for me to pick things that I did like because all of the surrounding context for all of the things that maybe I could say I liked
Yeah.
make me not like them.
it was kind of like for every one good thing, two bad things came after there.
Pretty much.
I liked the more like how they use the Force. I like the seeing the Force used differently. I like the hyperspace jumps that the Millennium Falcon did in the first part.
That was kind of
That
funny.
was really
That was-
cool
that was
because
pretty
it was
fun.
like
That was
boom,
pretty
different
fun.
area, boom,
Yeah, that was
different
fun.
area. I'm like, how did you not run into something?
I was still mostly on board at that point of
Yeah,
the movie.
that was good.
Mostly.
The
like the
lightsaber
first
battles.
Like the second scene of the movie.
Lightsaber battles.
Oof, boy.
The Force was all, I think, done well. Like it had energy and just amazing acrobatics, and
See,
the
if
fighting I
the-
liked.
I maybe could agree with most
Yeah.
of that, but the whole random just
I liked finding the relics thing too.
really mashed together
Oh, the
like
relics thing.
plot made me not like those things
Yeah.
because all of the main characters felt so different to me than they did in Force Awakens and Last Jedi. Maybe it's because there was no more character like growth whatsoever.
That's probably true.
Okay,
Except
so
for Kylo Ren.
To me it just felt like, you know, kind of like mindless. I don't know. It just felt really mindless. Like when Rey and Kylo were fighting for the ship that they think Chewie's on.
Yeah.
I'm already out of the movie at this point, but I'm looking at it and I started to hate the Force because I was like, these are just people holding their like hands up in the air going like this. Like what was that like filming? Like
Is that not what they do?
I know, but you always buy it before because like you give in to the story, you're along for the ride, and when they use the Force, it's cool, you know?
I see.
And another thing I liked about the sequel trilogy is there wasn't that much like offensive Force stuff, if that makes sense. Like a
Yeah.
lot of it was more of the mind trick stuff or just like feeling the presence of another person. It wasn't a lot of like, I'm going to Force jump over here, then use Force lightning, and you're going to Force throw your lightsaber. It felt like...
that felt more like a
it felt
video
like
game, but
it
I
felt like
liked
a
it.
video game boss battle.
I liked that though. I just
See, here's the way I just thought.
I
boy.
enjoyed that.
to me, the Rise of Skywalker, in many ways, which is the opposite from most things, it's almost like its parts are better than the sum of its parts. To me,
Yes.
if I could just purge my memory of all of the context and how they connected to each other, yeah, there were some cool scenes here and there throughout the
Right.
movie. There are a lot of cool scenes throughout the movie, like that whole speeder chase that was in a lot of the trailers on the desert planet.
Yeah.
That was cool.
You
The
weren't
Millennium-
moved at the very end when all the ships show up and then it's like you're
No.
not alone.
That was so stupid.
I was still
I was
moved by
so not earned at all.
it.
That
Wasn't
was so not earned.
probably wasn't
Like,
earned, but
I'm-
I still
not
liked
at all.
it.
Not at all. Like
So it was like, yes,
I
of course
laughed
they would
out
come.
loud in my seat when that happened because it's like that's the whole thing with the Last Jedi. You know, they're sending the
one
beacon
came.
out there.
Yeah.
They're like, they've heard us, but no one's coming. And then the whole beginning of this movie, they're like, nobody answered the call.
Maybe it's
And
because they're
then-
freaked out. They're like, oh no, that Emperor's back. We got to do something.
But there is no reason. There was no thing in like the last movie.
Yeah.
Luke's big grand stand, which is like this beautiful thing that restored hope
Right.
to the galaxy. It's like, yeah, that would be the thing that would get people to finally rally around and join the cause. But in this movie, they make a point that nobody has answered. They're still not answering. And then you're supposed to believe that Lando just like went and rallied everybody.
Yeah.
If
He-
Luke couldn't
No.
do it, Lando can.
It's like, no, get out of here. That was so stupid. And there was just so many ships.
There
I
were
was like-
there were too many
was
to
like,
for
oh my
make
God.
it believable.
It just, as a story beat, I can see how that probably would be really like inspiring. The thing is,
Oh, it definitely was in my
it's
theater.
inevitable.
I heard the yay.
See, that happened in my theater too. And to
Yep.
me, the first thought in my head, I was like, I am so jealous of over Marvel fanboys, because it's inevitable that people are going to compare this to Endgame, but that was supposed to be like the portals opening and all of the superheroes coming back, which works amazingly.
It does,
but in
so
this,
much
it's
better
like,
in Endgame.
I got goosebumps.
In
now.
this, they fly, and then there's literally like 3 trillion ships, and people are like, yeah, and I'm just like, no, that's it. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
What else did I like about it? I definitely really enjoyed the scene where Leia dies, and it's like she uses her last bit of energy to reach out to her son,
so he can get impaled.
But it's like it broke the spell. It broke that darkness spell. It just got him into a point where he finally felt the true loss of his mother, and
well, now he's like literally alone.
Yeah. And I think it like finally hit him in that moment of he's been abandoned and now he's like dying. But obviously him being impaled doesn't matter. It's just the being alone and having lost his mother. And then,
that was a good moment.
And then he has this like change, and he redoes that last conversation he had with his father, only it turned out the way that you wanted it to turn out.
Yes, exactly.
I needed that.
By the way,
for
the
that.
Solo moment, Han Solo coming back as, I guess, a figment of his imagination.
And I liked how
something.
Han Solo
that
wasn't a
really
Force
cool
ghost.
moment.
It was
just his memory.
It was just his memory. It was just Kylo Ren replaying
Just talking
that.
to Daddy.
My God, if they did make Han Solo into a Force ghost, I think the internet, the fandom would lose its mind. They would not know what to think.
See,
so
there
good.
little scenes like that, divorced from all of the surrounding context, it does work, because like the other 2 movies, I will say that I thought that the Kylo Ren stuff worked the best in this movie.
Yeah.
Because he's always been...
Until the very end, and then you're like, ugh, he had to ruin it.
Kylo has always been the greatest, I feel like, the most engaging character of this trilogy.
Yeah.
For sure.
And was on his way to be the best villain.
Yeah. See, that's... Okay. I know we're supposed to be trying to talk about good things.
Right.
Actually, Kyle, do you have any things that you liked about the movie? Because
I like the
don't
space
think I do.
ponies.
I feel like you're being ironic.
I'm being ironic.
Did you like Finn's grown out hair?
Who's grown out hair?
Finn. He grew out his hair a little bit.
I didn't even notice.
I thought that was weird.
did not even notice
I thought
that
it was
at
the
all.
You
exact
shaved
same.
that head back
No,
down.
my favorite parts of this movie would be Kylo Ren as usual, no matter
Yeah.
like who's writing or directing these movies. It's always Kylo Ren. And I still like JJ at least continued the arc of Ren and Kylo as them as...
Rey and Kylo?
Yeah, sorry. I don't know what I said.
Ren and Kylo?
You're thinking of Raylo.
Raylo?
Yeah, which actually was going to bring me to my negative point. Like, I liked all that until the tail end when they're like trying to shoehorn in the
A romance?
romance thing, and
I didn't read it as romance.
neither did I, but they wanted to shoehorn that in at the end.
I think that
I
was
think-
meant
I-
to be romance.
I don't think it was. I do disagree there.
I
If
think
it
kisses
was, it
like
didn't do
that
a
are
good
so
job.
deliberate that they wouldn't have had it.
The same
there.
way that when Rose kissed Finn, I don't necessarily think that that's like a romantic, oh my God, they're going to start dating now. I think it's just like,
Well, JJ,
holy crap, what did we just go through? We are both still alive.
Oh, I
Let's kiss.
No,
well,
I think the
JJ
rose
definitely made
was-
sure to not have them be romantic.
Yeah, I think the rose part at the end of Last Jedi was meant to be romantic. Because she goes, we save the things we love, and then kisses
Yeah, she's not
him.
saying, I love you, Finn. She's saying that we got to band together because, we're the good guys.
We love each other as
we have
friends.
to fight for love
Pat on
instead of
shoulder.
fear.
I don't know how many of your friends that you've kissed, but I can say that I don't kiss people that are just friends.
Well, you've never
Strange
been in a
times they
life-threatening
are.
situation where you just barely got out of it.
Then
with your
again,
life.
you know what? Star Wars has Luke and Leia kissing in Empire, and we found out that wasn't a good idea to do. So,
Oh,
you
that
know
is
what?
true.
They kiss in weird ways in Star Wars lore. I give that a pass.
I think that I really liked Kylo Ren's arc. Like I said, I love that scene where he feels his mother's death and then is moved to recreate that part with his father, because he really just couldn't be so bad. But I really wish that he would have killed the Emperor early in the thing and assumed all the power of the Sith, and then there that could have been explored more. I
See,
hated
that is my fundamental problem with this movie.
I hated the Emperor being there at the end.
Yeah, the
I
last
hated
Very
that.
clunky.
So
You-
clunky.
it felt like JJ and the co-screenwriter Chris Terrio, they were both totally not planning on doing this movie.
yeah.
And then they were like, our plans kind of fell through. Do you guys want to come back? I'm like, wait, what? So then they get back, and they said that their whole plan is they just sat in a room with a bunch of whiteboards and started thinking about all of the things they wanted to see. And to me, yeah, that's a kind of a problematic start, I feel like. But
Well, if you word it that way.
the main problem, that is exactly how he worded it. My main problem with this movie was it felt like they were too conscious of, the backlash to The Last Jedi and how it, twisted and subverted expectations and all this stuff. So they wanted to try and go back to the old school feel. They wanted to have as many traditional Star Wars elements as they could. And instead of just doubling down and really zeroing in on the whole Rey Kylo dynamic, they're like, well, we can't have Kylo be the main bad guy because Star Wars has always had the big bad.
Yeah.
So let's bring back the Emperor. And you can't just tack him on in the opening credit roll of the third movie of a trilogy and try
Palpatine lives, or whatever the first line
the dead
is.
speak.
The dead speak.
The line
on his
that-
podcast. He
the
announces to everyone he is back.
The line that was cut from the movie so they could put it in Fortnite. But from Palpatine, all of my other problems stem from that. I don't like how they tried to kind of undo the whole Rey is actually nobody, but they still wanted to keep the main sentiment of that. So, like, yeah, she may be evil, but she chooses a new family. Because it doesn't matter where you come from. It's like, yeah, that was the whole point of The Last Jedi. It doesn't matter where you come from.
I didn't need Rey to have a backstory once Last Jedi came through.
No.
All my expectations for that were gone, and I was fine with that. But I think what replaced it for me was this expectation that we were going to explore this idea that the Force needed balance, and that you need the evil and you need the good. And that in the first trilogy, the prequel one, you got all evil, and then the second one you got
birth of evil.
You got good supposedly triumphing over evil, but then you can't have all good. Evil rose again to meet the good, and now I think they had a point where they could have had balance, and Kylo could have been the darkness and Rey could have been the light, and they could have still been their dyad or whatever that they were, but they were equal parts darkness and light, and that's why they were always connected to each other.
Yeah.
And I liked that
But no,
idea.
we gotta have space ponies.
Space ponies and Emperor Palpatine. I just felt like that was so lazy.
Well, he was also
bringing him back.
It was especially when you think about it. He's only on screen for maybe 4 minutes.
Yeah, and he was
It's-
all dangly puppet body,
It's
like
so shoehorned in
It
because
looked ridiculous.
it just blew my mind. I was like, you seriously couldn't think of anything to do with Kylo Ren, who is now Supreme Leader Kylo Ren. Like, I was excited to see that.
Really, Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, who had just killed his master, is going to go kill everybody, track down Palpatine,
And then immediately be like, hey man, I'll totally serve
and then
you.
and then get another master again.
That's
No,
stupid.
that was so dumb. That's why I'm like, why didn't he just kill him, assume his powers, and I
That's
could have
all
seen.
I wanted. I don't. This is the trap that a lot of the more toxic, Last Jedi haters fell into. So I try not to get hung up on what I feel like should have happened, because
That seems like it's so apparent though that
because I don't know. Before they announced that thing at the Star Wars Celebration where they first had the laugh of the Emperor. No, there was no parallel universe where I thought oh man, what if they bring back Palpatine? That could really work. It's like
you could have even.
We hoped it would work.
You could have even had the movie be all completely the same. The rebels could have still destroyed the whole fleet, but at the end, instead of Ben Solo disappearing into the Force, you could have had Kylo Ren telling Rey, "I'm not leaving." Rey reaching out her hand and be like, "Come with me," and he's like, "No." And then it needs to be this way, and then it could have just ended like. He's there.
That is not an ending I feel like you would like.
I would.
That sounds like an ambiguous indie movie, artsy ending.
I know, but I actually
That's an
want
ending
that.
we would like.
That's why The Last Jedi ending is the perfect ending to this whole
never-
trilogy, even though it was only the second movie. That movie ends exactly where it needs to.
Yeah.
I don't know.
for the point Ryan Johnson was trying to make, it actually would have been a very
Perfect
not
ending.
solid ending, but it would have been an ending that makes sense.
I just feel like this whole movie they were trying to have their cake and eat it too. That classic
Oh,
idiom. I
yeah.
feel like they were like, well, some people did like the fact that Rey was nobody, but a lot of people didn't. Let's try and make her both somebody and
And
nobody.
nobody.
There's
At the
literally-
same, it's like no, that doesn't work.
There's one long dialogue where Kylo's literally going, "Your parents were nobodies,
But they chose to be.
except they related to someone who is somebody." it's something along those lines. I'm like, what?
It's like none of this is. You're contradicting yourself every other sentence.
Oh yeah,
it was really dumb, and
that's
it
a
just-
line where the studio went, "See, everyone's happy." And
I think that's why I come back to still liking some of the Force stuff. Like, I think I like it in the context of Rey and Kylo because the way that she's able to give him a lightsaber and like their
that stuff's cool.
Force
The
connection.
stuff that Ryan Johnson introduced.
Yeah, was awesome, and I loved how that was explored a little bit more.
Because it's a fantastic idea.
It is such a cool idea.
Thank you, Ryan Johnson.
I just felt bad because it seemed very obvious to me anyway that they were trying to leapfrog over Last Jedi while still trying to appease those who did like Last Jedi.
Well,
And
yeah,
right from the get-go on that point, it just
Yeah.
becomes
Especially with
a cluttered movie that just doesn't figure out what it is and just tries to like be almost two movies into one, really.
And
yeah.
then the name Rise of Skywalker. Oh, because Rey chose Skywalker, but you literally killed all of the actual Skywalkers.
A metaphor.
It's dumb.
Yeah, I know it's very dumb.
Well, yeah, it was supposed to be a
I
metaphor.
don't know. Most of my initial things that really angered me on my first viewing, I
Yeah.
realized the second time I was watching it were as hard as I tried to not have them were expectations that were not met or things that I thought were probably going to happen that didn't happen. But the second time I watched it, I knew all of that stuff going in. So really the things that stuck out to me were just your basic filmmaking structure things.
Yeah.
And even then, I really don't think this movie is very, very good at all. Like,
No.
I don't know. There's just starting at the very beginning, which is, oh, okay, Palpatine's back. He's just back,
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I guess I'm just supposed to accept that and,
Yeah, it's supposed
and
to be
go
one of
with it.
those
That's
accept
kind of
the
a huge
matter
deal,
things.
but okay. And then there's the whole Sith Wayfinder things. There's only 2 of them made
Those
in
things were
existence.
annoying.
And I was like, that's kind of
I kinda like the-
lazy.
Those are
It's-
MacGuffins. That
it's
is a
lazy MacGuffins, but I'm like, ooh, relics. And I
Yeah,
like
but then
that.
they're not used ever again. They're like, I don't know. It was just the laziest possible.
She used it to get back to the planet at the end. And then she gave the coordinates from Luke's X-Wing to the Resistance who met her. I thought that part was awesome.
I don't.
Okay.
I think it was really lazy.
I thought
'Cause
the
they're like,
X-Wing thing was pretty cool, but
Luke pulling it out at the end.
I liked it.
I didn't like it.
I didn't like Luke and Leia Force Ghosts at the very. I thought the movie should have just ended with him celebrating on the planet. It shouldn't have been her going back to Tatooine and being like, "I'm a
Yeah, I don't know.
Skywalker." That was like, I feel like that was an after credits scene that they're like, we can't do after credits scenes in this movie.
I think it was just supposed to be another fan service thing to recreate the iconic shot from A New Hope where Luke's standing and the two sons
to
are out.
compare this to Endgame again, because I just watched Endgame two days ago,
Uh-huh.
so it's very fresh in my mind.
Good call.
Endgames, a lot of people could lobby the complaints of fan service against Endgame, and yeah, there's probably a little bit in there, but I feel like there's a very big difference between just fan service for fan service sake and like payoff, even if
Yeah.
it's like pretty telegraphed, but it's still set up and it pays off. Like when what's his name? Falcon?
Yeah.
Yeah, when Falcon, like, you first hear his voice over the radio, like, on your left.
Yeah.
And because I remember the theater people were like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And it's like, that kind of works. It's a
Yeah.
callback. Fans like it. But it works because it's directly related to their whole relationship. But then you see things in this movie that have no previous setup. The X-Wing thing was one of those things to
Yeah.
me. I was like, it was clearly shown to have been completely unusable. It was destroyed. Luke crashed it. He destroyed it. There's no way he's using that thing. He's on this island for good.
Yeah.
But now in this movie, we need to have kind of a cool moment.
We need to
and we
get her-
don't know how to get Rey back there because we didn't think that through.
Yes,
So
there's
let's just-
a lot of we didn't
So
think
let's
that
just
through.
have
All
Luke.
right.
Let's just
I'll
have
give
Luke
you
bring
that.
out his X-wing, and people are gonna love it because, oh my god, he couldn't lift that in Empire Strikes Back, but now he can. Wow.
As a Force ghost.
And it's like, ugh.
All right, I see what you mean.
And then the
I
stupid,
see what you mean.
Chewie getting a medal. I don't care that much about that, but it's another example.
Yeah,
It's like 2 seconds long, but it's only there for people to go like, oh my god, look, he didn't get one in the 4th one. Now he does. It's like, cool. I guess now he has one.
I kind of wish, and this is my expectations, that they would have brought Force Ghost Hayden Christensen back. Like,
I thought they would.
I was surprised how much I was kind of wanting that as
yeah,
leading up to this movie.
I don't want him as like a big character, but they just keep looking at his charred mask and not
Mm-hmm.
Force
It's
Ghost.
like, come on, he was
him at
Anakin too.
all.
Yeah, he was Darth Vader, but he was also Anakin.
Right.
Well, when
I wanted-
Kylo's on the Death Star in the ocean and he's looking off in the distance, and then you hear like, "Hey, bud," or
kid.
"Champ,"
Hey,
"Hey, kid," yeah, from Han Solo, but you don't see Han Solo yet. I was like, is that gonna
Totally
be?
thought it was Hayden Christensen.
Yeah,
I was like, oh my god,
or
are they
maybe
actually
like,
doing this right now? It's gonna be weird to see him on screen again.
yeah. I was
And it's
like,
like, oh, it's Han. Okay.
but it still worked though. I was just saying, I was like, I thought that would be the moment where.
I know. I was kind of disappointed with my own expectations, and that they wouldn't just do a few seconds of a conversation with the grandfather that for the last 2 movies he was told he was never good enough, and now he's supreme leader. And
Am I good enough now, Granddaddy?
Not to
Yeah.
mention
Am I
he
good enough now?
idolized the dark side of
yeah,
See, that's what.
Vader, and he probably
This
could
will be
have
the
had like the good side of him be like, "Hey man, like I was totally wrong. Like you should
This will be the
not
last.
be evil."
This will be like the
I don't know.
last alternative thing that I'll say for this movie.
right.
But just get rid of the whole Palpatine thing. It's stupid. It doesn't work at
Yeah.
all. Just focus on Rey and Kylo. Kylo's the big bad. But then maybe like his arc in this one is, or just at least a beat could have been that scene.
Right.
Maybe he is confronted with Anakin as Anakin before he
Right.
was Darth Vader, or maybe just before he became Darth
And then
Vader.
he, like-
and he's like, "Kid, you don't want to go down this."
And then he goes, "Nope, I'm going," and it
Yeah.
makes the turn, makes the commitment. It wasn't killing his father. It wasn't killing his master. It was killing the grandfather whose shadow he was always under.
maybe.
Or like getting
Or-
out from behind that.
Because I never had one strong feeling or another about whether he should live or die or be redeemed or not. I was like, if they pull it off, whatever they do
I
is
kind of
going
was
to
fine
work.
with him not being
But-
redeemed. But although I did love that scene with his father, if he had fully gone down the dark path as part of the narrative that you need balance in the Force, and he basically sacrifices himself for that balance, saying, "I will always be the harbinger of darkness and you are the harbinger of light," I would have been fine with that.
Yeah.
That would have been good.
It's just...
And that could have been
I don't know.
what the whole trilogy was about,
Mhm.
was this idea of balance.
Nope.
I think this movie lacked was like that idea of what everything, one concept that the whole thing could have been about.
Oh, there was clearly no plan in retrospect. Like they clearly were writing and was hoping someone would pick up the slack for the other part of the franchises, and I thought that was very disappointing. Like they never had a roadmap. I mean, regardless of like
God, no.
the different people they kept hiring, they should have had like a clear roadmap. You can make changes along the way, but
that's what-
everyone has to be in the know
I
about
kind
it.
of feel like that's what Kevin Feige did for Marvel that worked so well.
That's exactly what
and
he
they
did.
just didn't
yeah.
have that.
No.
They didn't have that, and they should have known because they had the blueprint for Marvel. They just should have known what worked, and it was having somebody guide an overarching narrative.
The biggest thing for me, and this is, it's not necessarily what you see in the movie itself, but it's what the movie is kind of telling you. Because the reason why I love The Last Jedi so much, and I still do, and it still gets better every time I watch it, especially after The Rise of Skywalker.
Oh, it's the best of the trilogy.
Is I didn't realize how much I needed like Rian Johnson to, like the main theme of that movie to me, is like, things are changing. It's really scary, but there's nothing you can do about it. So what you need to do is, really look at yourself, all of the good and the bad parts, look back on the things that you've done, things you've done wrong, so that you can make better choices going forward and make a better future for the people that come next. And a big part of that is, confronting some things you don't really like about yourself. It's looking
Right.
at the ugly side. But then this movie comes out, and it's sort of like the opposite. It's like, no, yeah, change is scary. You don't have to change. It's okay.
Yeah.
Everything's same. This is still good old classic Star Wars. It's what you've always wanted, right? It was kind of like spoon feeding, and it's like, I don't really want this anymore.
I think audiences are like, we like it, but it's just not.
It's the sweetest poetic justice
Yeah,
to
it's
me.
just not.
I love
It's
it.
doing great. Like it's on track with what it did with Last Jedi.
It's a little behind Last Jedi.
Yeah, a little behind Last Jedi.
Still
And
a success,
I
of
think,
course.
yeah, very much a success. I just think it's just not satisfying to people enough
No.
that they want to
Well,
see it again and get that.
I don't know. I've been seeing
satisfaction.
like a lot of reactions just being like, it wasn't that great, but I still really enjoyed it. It was still a blast, which is awesome and good. But I don't know. I think a lot of people turned around with this one. I think
That's
a lot of people
true,
are
and
happier.
A thing that I've noticed, especially the second time I watched it, is a lot of people don't necessarily like everything I just said about what I like about The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't see that, and that's totally fine. Totally fine. And if they don't see that,
they're not
going to see what I think are kind of like contradictions to that in Rise of Skywalker. And that's fine too. Everybody sees something differently in movies, and if you don't have the connection to like what I think Rian Johnson was maybe trying to say, then you're not going to see JJ kind of contradicting them, or at least trying to, cover up them. So you're probably going to be left with just an okay movie. So it makes sense that a lot of people are liking this. But the thing is, I don't get the sense that there's that many people out there who think it's like a really, really great Star Wars movie.
no, I don't get that.
No, I don't think so. No.
I don't think anybody thinks it's great. I think a lot of people think it's okay.
I
Like,
think
it's not,
or
it's not bad.
But
people are satisfied.
for the grand epic finale, for the biggest franchise of all time, it's like,
well,
I
that's
feel
not
like
bad.
you should want the ending to be great.
Yeah.
Who doesn't want there to Endgame, fantastic ending to that.
Right.
I mean, obviously the franchise isn't over, but it kind of was. That chapter, that section of it,
Yeah.
Endgame was
So
like
what's
everything
going to
you could ask
happen
for.
with Star Wars moving forward? Do you think? Do you think they even know what they're?
I don't.
I think they're
Are
gonna.
they like Jon Favreau? Come help us.
I think so. Mandalorian ended amazingly.
Oh yeah,
it was
I finally saw
so
the ending.
good.
Yeah, I
It
finally
was
saw the ending.
so good, and it's just like watching it. The first scene of the last episode, I was like, "This is so much better than everything I saw in Rise of Skywalker."
I think.
Is it because
moving-
you had Jon Favreau be a part of that overarching narrative to make sure there was a conclusion?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, I'm sure that's a big part of it, but it's also just well done. Like the Rise of Skywalker, like I said in my immediate thoughts, and I kind of mentioned now, it was all plot, no character, but there was so much plot that it was moving at like a breakneck pace.
It was,
but
ridiculous,
in a really
fast.
bad way,
Yeah.
in a way where it's like, none of this makes sense. Let's just keep going to different planets. Maybe they won't notice that none of this makes sense and how we really don't have a story here. But Mandalorian, like there was that main story for like the first 3 episodes. Then there were several just kind of like one-off adventures that were still really entertaining. And then it came back to the main overall storyline for like the last 2 episodes. It was just really focused. It didn't bite off more than it could chew. The characters were front and center the whole time. You really got to know them, and it left you incredibly satisfied.
Does he end up with Baby Yoda at the end?
He is his legally adopted father.
Legal? Like, how do they make? There's somebody out there that makes it legal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's beautiful.
Oh my gosh!
The first scene of the last episode, Jason Sudeikis is playing a scout trooper, and it's hilarious. It's just because Taika Waititi directed this episode,
Yeah.
and you can totally get that feeling. But
Oh yeah.
there's a scene I didn't know anything about it going in. There's a scene where he just starts punching Baby Yoda as hard as he can repeatedly, and it's like the funniest thing I've ever seen. It's hilarious. It's so good.
Punches a baby
Over and over again.
Does he die? I hope he
Baby
dies.
Yoda, yeah, he punches him and he dies.
No, the bad guy.
Oh.
That's punching him. They don't kill Baby Yoda. Are you kidding? That merchandising machine, they're not going to cut that off.
I can't
now.
remember. He probably dies. I don't know.
He dies from a droid that rescues him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Is
I'm so
it-
glad that droid.
And the
died.
droid is voiced by Taika, so
Is
yeah.
it a painful, gruesome death?
Jesus.
I think he just gets shot.
Oh, that's disappointing.
But lots of blood comes out.
But
Is
no,
that
I think-
good?
Get an
I think
important
that's what they're going to
appendage shot
focus
off?
on. I think they're. I love in hindsight going back to all of these press talks and things that they've been giving, because so many of them I'm starting to like kind of see through read between the lines and
Uh-huh.
see where they're contradicting each other. Because now this co-screenwriter's making the rounds, and he's like, we really wanted to have Rose in this movie as much as possible.
that was
but it's
such
just
BS.
that, you know, the
Then
Leia scenes were really hard, and so we had to make cuts in other places.
No,
It's like that
that's
is
such
complete BS.
That is such BS. If you wanted Rose in this story, you would have continued her narrative with Finn. Otherwise,
she could have just been the character that horse woman was.
Oh yeah, I mean they introduced 2 new characters that offer nothing, but
absolutely. I don't even
Rose
know
can't
what
come
her
along
name
for the
was.
ride.
Well, they clarify that Finn and Poe aren't. It's a no homo thing.
Yeah.
I 100% subscribe to that. That is what they were trying to do. There's
Oh,
no
yeah, I mean,
reason
sure.
to add those other 2 characters in. They didn't do anything.
No,
Yeah,
you didn't
yeah.
even see Ray's mom's face in it.
Carrie Russell.
Yeah.
you
Zori
didn't even
Bliss.
see Ray's face in it.
You didn't.
Yeah, you see
didn't-
her eyes because she has to have a really
So,
sincere moment
It's
looking
like
at
they
Poe.
only casted her so that she could fit in that skin tight suit and have maybe a kind of a voice that you would recognize. There was no reason to cast her in that role. if you're
Poe
not
needed
gonna
to
look
get
at
that
her.
little coin because that's
Story.
another one of those lazy plot advancing things. They
How-
just make up these little objects that are the answer to what their
Right.
problems are.
Have you guys been hearing about John Boyega attacking the Raylo fans on Twitter?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, it's amazing. He
Although
got his
he-
money. He's off the contract. He can do what he wants, and it was amazing.
He did go a little off the deep end.
Oh, I
He-
love it. I love it. A
He-
lot of
Was
them.
that the laying the pipe thing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I maybe to an extent, like he may have gone a bit too far, but I love it. He deserved it. They've been harassed for so many years for stuff that is out of their control, and
Yeah, but I
Like-
don't think that's how you keep like getting jobs at Disney is with laying the pipe.
oh, he's not gonna
comments.
want to work with Disney. I don't think.
Who else do you work with if you don't work with Disney?
This
like,
is true.
I-
80% of the
I feel
box
like it's
office last year.
As good as that was really dumb of him.
There was streaming services. He'll find a way.
I don't know. It's
I just loved it. I was like, good for you, man. You've
Oh.
had to put up with so much crap for a couple of years. Like, go ahead.
back to the movie itself. I guess
Yeah.
the last thing that I can really say about it before I start just sounding like a broken record is it's like I was saying earlier, it's such poetic justice to me that in at least how I see it, a lot of the reason why this movie turned out the way it did is because Disney and JJ and Kathleen Kennedy and the screenwriter, first of all, like I said, they weren't expecting to have to do this one. JJ's doesn't usually have to finish things. So they get
It's
brought
my
back
thing.
on and they're like, "Well, what are we supposed to do? We didn't know Ryan Johnson was going to do that. Oh, look, a lot of people hated that. What if we just make a list of all the things they weren't happy with and then just go down the list
Fix it.
and that'll make everybody happy, right?" So basically, it's a movie that was made with pandering to kind of the bottom of the barrel fan base in mind.
Yep.
And pandering to people is not how you make a good movie.
No.
They also had the challenge of I totally lost my train of thought. I'm so sorry.
I just think that
I don't know what I was gonna say.
J.J. Abrams makes good movies, but he doesn't make good. I don't want to say cerebral, but just like good storytelling movies. where
Well,
the
he's very good at
enriched.
setting things up, and this is like his most famous. It's like a meme at this point.
Yeah.
He has this whole mystery box method, where he comes up with a lot of cool but ambiguous things, you know, and he'll throw a lot out there to make a lot of mystery, you know,
Yeah.
and get people talking like, "Oh, I wonder what that is. I wonder what that is. I wonder what that is," but he doesn't usually have to actually follow through on it because then it gets sent out to other writers.
Well,
Um,
I was just thinking like about Star Trek because I really liked what he did.
2009 Star Trek was great.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
but I do come back, and I have never really liked that whole idea that you just blow up all of Vulcan on that. I just feel like that was kind of
I don't remember that.
dumb storytelling in that part of it, and so I just feel like he's not the great. Like he doesn't really get that to the next level of
No,
storytelling.
I mean his whole thing is on top of
Yeah.
that. Once he establishes that, he likes to do a lot of things that kind of look and sound cool the
Right.
moment they're happening.
Yeah.
But you look back and
Style
it's kind of
over
like
substance. I
yeah,
should
you
say.
look back and it's like, well, now that I know, now that the whole wow impact of that, seeing that for the first time is gone, you kind of go back and you
Like,
watch it.
what?
He got away with it, I feel like, in Force Awakens because it was a pretty safe movie.
Yeah.
I will never say that it's a carbon copy of A New Hope. I think that's kind of a lazy criticism. but it's very similar in many ways.
So similar. The whole trilogy is now very similar, except for this last one. I would say the Force Awakens and Last Jedi are similar, very similar beats to the first trilogy.
In some ways, I would disagree slightly more on Last Jedi, but
Yeah,
But
I'm
there's
trying
still
to think.
like she still falls down a dark hole to confront the thing that inside of her, and they still go
That's a
to
good
a
point.
far off planet for a really old weathered mentor who doesn't really train him enough before he or she has to leave impulsively to go save.
No, I get it. I
mean,
get it. That's fair. But,
Right.
there's a difference between carbon copies and the beats.
yes,
And that's why I say, like, Force Awakens, there's a lot of similarities, but a lot of those don't really start happening until
Yeah.
the last act of the movie. It's like, there's no snow forest lightsaber battle in A New Hope. There's no Han Solo garbage disposal ship with giant slug monsters in A New Hope. There's a lot of things that aren't in A
There's
No
a
Hope.
garbage disposal.
Yes. But I forget what I was saying originally.
Carbon copy.
It was before
Beats,
I got on
story
a
beats.
tangent of Force Awakens. But
I just think JJ's style over
oh
substance.
yeah, it was JJ.
Rian Johnson was a little bit
Ryan.
more whatever. Ruin Johnson was a little bit
Go back to Rian.
was more substance than,
Oh yeah.
and this one
But
is just
no.
so
don't
it's not even style. It's just so like just lazy. Is the
This
only
one
word
just
I can
felt
come
kind
up
of
with.
lazy and also very
Uninspired.
lacking in confidence. I would
Yes.
say they're like, we don't know what we're gonna do. Let's just throw it all out there. Let's just call it. Let's just call it, guys.
They did have a tough task of trying to please a fan base that unnecessarily got divided and suddenly got angry. So I give them that, but at the same time, though, it was pretty rough how they accomplished it.
I also don't understand why JJ thought this movie needed to wrap up the whole saga. You know?
Right.
I don't understand necessarily why he thought he had to do that.
Because it had to end the Skywalker saga, I suppose.
But why?
I don't know.
The original, when George Lucas, I mean, it's a little different because they were made out of order, but like,
Didn't he originally envision 12 movies?
he's had many different plans. Originally, he had 7, then there was 9, then there was 12. A lot of people like to think that he had everything planned out, but he totally did not have everything planned out.
Oh, if you watch the original trilogy,
He never knew that Darth Vader was going to be Luke's father.
yeah.
Until he was writing that movie. Well, with Lawrence Kasdan. But he had the overall basic vague outline.
Is
in
Lawrence
his head.
Kasdan still alive?
Yeah.
Then why didn't they bring him in? If you were going to, sum up the whole trilogy, why wasn't George Lucas brought in? Why wasn't Lawrence Kasdan brought in? Why didn't somebody sit them all down in the room and say, this should be the end of this Skywalker saga? How should we end this properly?
Kasdan and his son were on Solo.
Yeah, they wrote it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they had them. They had their number.
I don't know.
So
I don't know.
I just feel like that is on Kathleen Kennedy to a certain extent. It's definitely on Disney because maybe Disney stepped in and said, "This is how it's going to be done," and they maybe took her autonomy, or you never know on the executive ranks what happened after that.
There's so many accounts that pop up by the day, but one of the ones I read was that, I don't know if it was Bob Iger himself or somebody, but it was high up the Disney chain. A lot of people were saying, hey, we're kind of behind schedule. We could use an extension. We don't know if this is going to be ready by Christmas. They're like, no, Christmas is Star Wars time. You do that. I'm pretty sure that's exactly what
Christmas
they said.
is Star Wars
Yeah.
and Star
And
Wars is
maybe it
money.
needed
And they're probably like, make it work. And they're like,
Yeah.
because I did know that the editor was literally editing it on the set. Like, she would like edit the footage they shot that day, and that's not how it's done.
No.
That's not normally how it's done.
Damn.
And I read interviews with her, and she was kind of like, you could tell she's not gonna trash talk the film, but she's very aware that it was not her best work because everybody was just so stressed and rushed, and they probably knew that the script wasn't working.
Did Disney do this because they needed to pay for Disney Plus? They
don't
knew they
know.
were gonna.
I have no
'Cause
idea.
Well, I
on
mean,
ear-
between
on
that
earning-
and the acquisition of Fox, they have to pay for as well.
Yeah, on earnings calls,
Yeah.
they said that they were going to. Oh, are you okay?
This coffee is really cold now. It's disgusting.
Oh, on earnings calls, they did say that they were not going to make profit because of, the Fox acquisition, Disney, and the money losing on Disney Plus for the next couple of years. I wonder if they rushed this one just to help that a little bit, but they might have hurt themselves in the long run.
I feel like they got away with Force Awakens because, like we said, it was a pretty safe approach. JJ is he is very good at finding really good actors and actresses to embody pretty interesting characters. Yeah. He is very good at that. And so they got away with Force Awakens because
goddamn driver.
They played to JJ's strengths. Yeah. They were cool new characters, familiar but fun story.
And there probably wasn't the pressure to get it done by a certain time.
Yeah. And then Rian Johnson comes in, most smooth sailing production schedule they've ever had. Everything goes swimmingly. They wrap early. Movie ends up being one of the best Star Wars movies ever made, in my opinion.
And one of the most hated.
And
thank you guys.
Rian Johnson is super proud of it. You can tell that he made it with total confidence. He knows what he likes about Star Wars, and that's what he made.
Yeah.
I feel like Disney,
stepped
after that, none of them really thought about what they love about Star Wars. Right. It was hard for them to step back and think of it as anything other than this $5 billion franchise we just inherited that we have to make work.
Right.
They did, which is understandable, I guess. It's a huge obligation, but if you can't think about it on a personal level, like, why do people like these movies instead of, we have to make this work.
Well, it could have been a merchandising issue too, because I don't know if Last Jedi had, like, if they sold as much merchandising, or you never know what the
there's
figures,
no way. I know that like the action figures and the toy sales were way down from Force Awakens.
And so they probably went to them and they said, hey, we got to make this better. You got to make characters that will sell toys.
I think that's now that you mention that, that's probably why they made Zori. Like, make a cool new Star Wars
that's a lady
suit, but make it a female because brownie points for representation.
Yeah.
And who cares if she does anything in the movie, but have her there so we can sell toys of her.
Is it her name Jana? Whoever.
Jana is the new the horse girl.
They can have horse girl Jana, and then they can horse sold separately.
Nobody's buying the horse girl action figure.
Well, they could buy the horse separately.
Nobody's buying the horse action figure either.
But they have options now.
There's a lot of things. I feel like Rian Johnson is kind of grinning to himself. He's probably like, these guys don't really know what Star Wars is.
No.
Other than a giant $sign.
Yeah.
And so
he also made Knives Out.
He stepped in. He made his fantastic entry. He knows it's a good movie. A lot of people know it's a good movie. A lot of people hated it, but whatever.
I'll always maintain that.
And now he can just sit back and enjoy.
I didn't like what he did with Luke, but I like what he did with Luke when Luke force projected himself. That was the Luke I wish had been in the whole movie, but
then there'd be no growth.
I know.
That's the whole part.
I don't like grumpy old man Luke.
Yeah,
for most of the
maybe
movie.
you don't like it at first, but it's got to happen. It's the whole thing.
I wouldn't mind it if that time had been cut short and there was just more clean shaven, all
that
dressed
would be the
in
fan
black.
Servicey stuff, and Ryan Johnson is so far above that.
That's what I wanted. I can't help it. I do.
Maybe that's what you wanted, but if you saw it in the movie, it would not.
And I don't like Canto Bright. I just still can't. I like the little boy. I like why they had to be there for that scene with the little boy, but Canto Bright, the whole thing was just, it drives me nuts. I fast forward through it now because I'm like, it's worthless.
I would say it's probably my least favorite part of the movie, but I see why it matters, why it's important, and it's really not that long. People are always like, there's this whole pointless half hour where they go to a casino, and I'm like, they're there for like 11 minutes of screen time.
It just feels longer
feel long the
because
first
they
time.
cut away and cut back and cut away and cut back to it, and that's why I think it feels longer. Because we're like, oh, we're back to this thing again.
So in conclusion,
what
Star
I
Wars
think
is in
going
limbo.
forward, I feel like everybody at Disney is sort of just like, they probably look exhausted. Their hair is all messed up from ripping it out, and they're just like, oh, the Star Wars movies are over. Like, maybe it was ugly, but we made it past. Let's just focus on
Baby
Disney
Yoda
Plus stuff.
Getting that.
Yeah, thank God we have Baby Yoda. Just play with that for a while.
More movies will still happen, but I do think
gonna be a
they're going to
while.
be focusing on their Disney Plus shows a lot more. I think they see how great Mandalorian is doing, and they are seeing it being successful in that model for Star Wars.
Now? Because they're like, ooh, this is doing good.
What do you mean, like in the movies?
Yeah, I kind of feel like the executives were so busy overseeing the movies that they kind of let...
I don't know. You would think...
I'm sure they'll try to find a way.
I would not be surprised if they bump up Jon Favreau, maybe Dave Filoni, to like basically the Kevin Feige's of the Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
Because I mean, granted, Mandalorian is pretty simple. It's a very simple show.
Right.
But the control and the focus of it is almost like perfect to me. Like, and John Favreau obviously knew, like, hey, let's just pick something that we can do really well.
Guy.
And they
Disney loves him.
And they did it very well.
Yeah.
So that would be my theory. Who knows when the Rian Johnson movies, if he's even still making those, happen?
I think he's gone.
I think he might have jumped ship too. Like, hey guys, I gave you what I want. I gave you what you asked for. I feel like it's a pretty darn good movie. Then you turned around and you disregarded everything that I was trying to say.
I think Favreau will be the next Star Wars director for a movie.
Or
I think
it's
that's
be
very
Kevin
possible.
Feige and his.
I don't know if Feige will direct a movie. I bet you he
I
will
wonder if
produce a movie.
they were premature in bringing him over.
Everything with Disney and Star Wars is premature.
Yeah.
Everything.
It has become very reactionary.
If they haven't learned by now, hopefully now that the movies are over, they can finally sit down and just be like, we messed up, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Star Wars 10 to make up for Star Wars 9.
That's
Which
why
was trying to make up for 8.
That's why I think they're going to take a pause on the movies. They'll still come out, but like in 21 or 22, whatever that is. And I think they're going to be looking really heavily towards their shows now. Like the Obi-Wan show.
Which I'm so happy with. I'm so fine with that.
Yeah, there's that Obi-Wan show. There's another show with a character from Rogue One. I don't know.
I don't know if that one's going to go through.
I don't know either. I just know
hope
that they're
it
trying to
doesn't.
make it. But
Like the Cassian show.
yeah, I think that's who it is.
I only know that name because I bought the action figure.
And that's why they want to make a show.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, our action figure sales were really good on this one.
Like they're already thinking of like a Star Wars Rebels sequel show, which makes no sense. Why not just continue the show? But I don't know. Anyway, I think they're going to focus on TV a lot going forward.
Yeah. But the closure of this movie to me
Is that it's over.
It's over. Hopefully there will be at least a significant drop in Ruin Johnson comments. Hopefully. I feel like they'll never ever stop though. For the rest of time, they'll be like, I saw one this morning.
You did?
Yes, this morning.
Actually, I saw one yesterday.
The article was it was talking about, I don't know, I think it was like Daniel Craig or something about James Bond. And the comment in the bottom was like, they probably wanted him to be an angry hermit who milks sea cows. I was like, oh, I wonder what you're referring to.
I was going to say, if it said Ruin Johnson, do you think that they just forgot how to spell his name at this point?
They probably think that's his name.
They misinterpreted
It's
the
such a fitting
for
name.
you.
All he
Yeah.
does is ruin.
And now at this point, it's like, it's too long to ask how to spell it correctly.
I will admit, I'm a little part of me is gonna be forever jealous at people whose like like Kyle, people whose main franchise are the Marvel movies,
Yeah.
because they got the big grand epic finale that moves you genuinely and it earns its payoffs.
You can come join my side whenever you like, Eric.
Oh, I'm so far past fandoms now in general. Like
Yeah.
I had to sit around for the end of Star Wars, and yeah. I feel kind of like an idiot now though, because for whatever reason, leading up to it, I was like, yeah, the biggest corporation in the world who wants money more than anything are totally gonna keep doing the risky, ballsy, bold take that Rian Johnson did that alienated half the fan base. They're totally gonna stick with that because they have integrity, instead of like, oh, they're probably gonna reshuffle things and take the safe route and whatever, consequences happens to the movie is whatever. I don't know why I didn't think that.
Nah,
I was blinded by my optimism.
You're just naive. I
it
think.
happens. I've been naive many a times myself, only to grow bitter and sad.
You're gonna turn into Old Man Luke.
I hope. Old Man Luke's my favorite Luke.
What an arc.
Old Man
I'm
Luke
proud
is my
of you, Eric.
favorite Luke.
Yeah. Young and naive to old and cynical.
But that also means that I come out of that and I inspire the entire galaxy, letting them know that, hey, there are still things worth having hope for.
Until
Yes.
J.J. Abrams comes in and retcons that.
Yeah.
You just gotta stay away from J.J. You'll be fine.
Yeah. Stay away from JJ.
It's about the journey, not the end. Let's talk about good things, like our favorite movies.
Oh, this will be fun. This will be fun. I want to start this off. We were all supposed to get our 10 films of 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we got ours. Did you?
I saw over 10 films. I cannot.
What?
I can't come up with 10 that are that are genuinely like, yes, that was a good movie. I thoroughly enjoyed my experience, or I was surprised by where that went
You
and how
stopped
good
going
that was.
to the movie theater when the good movies started
They
coming
weren't
out.
good. That's
Yes,
the problem.
You don't know that.
I promise you, Cody, there were
No.
very
You got to
many good
explain this
movies.
reasoning.
It
because
just nothing about that like interested me. Nothing pulled it.
You
and
just
if you
said
don't
being
have,
pleasantly surprised. Sometimes you go to the movie even if like you weren't really planning on it or
I wasn't
excited
gonna
for
be
it, and then you see the
pleasantly
movie and it's like, oh my
surprised.
god, this is awesome.
by Star Wars Far From Home or Spider-Man Far From Home.
Sorry, all these Disney properties.
Yeah, I wasn't
Just
going to
get
be
mixed up.
surprised by that.
Well, no, it's a
I
Marvel.
wasn't
It's
going
an
to be
average Marvel
surprised
movie.
by Godzilla.
I didn't see
Okay,
that
well
movie.
you're listing
I'm
the
thinking
very
of the
meh
summer.
movies.
You're
Those
just
were
listing like the generic big tentpole blockbuster.
I mean,
things.
Booksmart came out over the summer. In the sea of meh for the summer,
And
Booksmart was there.
And I saw that on streaming, so it didn't make my list because I saw it on streaming.
That counts. It's a
was-
2019 movie.
It was okay. I thought all the funny scenes were in the trailer.
That's a lazy criticism.
I was like, oh yay, at least I saw those ones. The scene I wanted to see the most was where she was getting arrested. And then she's like,
That's kind of funny.
yeah. And it was in the trailer,
Yeah,
and
at the
I
end
was
of the movie,
satisfied
yeah.
that I saw that.
Fair
I
enough.
don't know. I saw a lot of movies this year.
Okay.
I counted over 50
So I'll go through my
in the
because
theater.
it's not a full top 10. I have some honorable mentions that were
I do
good
too.
memories because I took my kids to them, but they're not necessarily like great movies.
Yes.
All
Okay.
right. All right.
So and this isn't in any order
They're
of
not ranked or
priority.
anything?
Yeah, there's not ranked. How to Train Your Dragon 3,
Great movie.
Rocket Man.
Wow, that one
Great
didn't
movie.
make in top 10.
What? No.
How
No,
to Train Your Dragon 3?
didn't it?
These are her
These
six.
are my top 6.
Oh,
But-
I thought you said honorable mention. Sorry.
No, these are the top ones. Good
Okay.
Boys, Frozen 2, Hobbs and Shaw, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Hobbs and Shaw.
Yeah, I
You
think.
saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
Yeah, and I liked it.
Yeah, she did see that.
Oh, I
Yeah.
don't remember
I think
that.
I
but
enjoyed
good. That's
Hobbs
awesome.
and Shaw more because of the experience of where I saw it. So that was technically my sixth
Was that like
one.
IMAX or something?
No, it was at that upscale dine-in theater.
Oh,
So I had
right. Yeah.
I had a fireplace next to me and a blankie and a
Yeah.
and
I
a
remember
really
you
good
telling us about
cocktail.
that.
I really enjoyed that. So
Oh, and the movie was good too.
and the movie was good too. And then honorable mentions were like a bunch of kids movies like Aladdin, Secret Life of Pets 2, Addams Family, Wonder Park, and maybe even Detective Pikachu because I took the kids to that and that was really
I
fun.
That's a
about
good
that
one.
one.
Yeah,
Forgot about that one.
It's a nice little movie.
yeah. So that
Oh,
was
not
kinda,
little, but it's a nice
I had
movie.
I know you guys say that you had a great year for
I had a
film, but
fantastic year.
I had a horrible year for film. So
Just stopped going. That's all I can say.
No.
Yes.
I think if we went through the list, there's nothing there.
I mean, all the
you
really
gotta branch out.
all the really good stuff is not Cody's cup of tea. Like when it comes to those type
yeah.
of genres.
I wasn't gonna
it's-
see
it-
The Lighthouse and be like, yeah.
Oh,
I saw
yeah, probably
Tolkien.
not.
I did not think I would, but then I came out loving
Yeah, like I
it.
don't think anybody saw Tolkien.
Yeah, Tolkien was good.
It wasn't on your list.
Because it wasn't great. I was trying to
It
make
wasn't even
a
in your
top-
honorable mentions.
It was fine. I like the actor. in
Nicholas
it.
Hoult.
Yeah, I like Nicholas Hoult.
I know you like that.
That
guy.
was the only reason I really liked Tolkien.
I think he's kind of an uggo, but whatever.
Oh, really?
That one was warranted. No, I'm kidding.
No, he's a very fine actor.
He has grown into a fine gentleman. Okay, so
I'm
you
with
guys
Eric.
do
I like
yours.
this year in movies.
Are you guys similar? You should,
I can't. I'm not really.
No.
There's
Are
I think
there
one or two that
overlap?
are on the same list.
because I feel like
Actually, we have
last-
one movie in the same spot
Yeah,
in
I
terms
think
of
last
ranking,
year
but-
when we did this, you had a lot of overlap.
yeah. This year I think we have two movies that
Okay.
overlap.
So who wants to go 1st
Kyle does.
I do. Are we just going 10
Okay.
through 1, or are we just gonna?
Yeah,
You say 10, I'll say my 10. You say 9, I'll say my 9.
yeah,
All right.
we'll do that.
All
I
right.
think I remember my list.
To start with, Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood.
I'm glad you like that one as much as you did.
Yeah.
That was
very
one
good movie.
I will say that I missed out on that I wish I would have seen.
Oh, you should see it. I think you would really love it, Cody.
Yeah.
Very good movie. That one wasn't on mine, but you only got 10 slots. My 10, my 10 originally I put Ad Astra, which I'll still stand by. But rewatching Endgame, I might have put Endgame at number 10. Just,
That
I mean,
one is. I saw it. It didn't make even my honorable.
I know, that's
mentions.
crazy to me.
That's ridiculous.
I feel nothing for that movie. In fact, I'm like, I don't.
I think it's beautiful.
Man, since I
don't-
started
didn't
working
And
here,
really-
you
everything
really
it-
soured on
everything
Marvel
everything
movies.
it
Have,
everything
yeah.
it encompasses to me, because the movie itself is really great. It's a 3-hour movie that really doesn't lag anywhere. It's just
Yeah.
a big epic like 7-act story, but just everything that it represented, just this moment in time, it's the defining genre of this decade, and it sticks the landing. I was like, come on, how can I not give credit where credit's due? So I would say, I don't want to say it's a tie. I just made this list before I rewatched Endgame.
Yeah.
Since I had seen it in the theater, rewatched it, and now retroactively I would have put it.
It was an honorable mention for you too.
It was originally an honorable mention, yeah. But now I'm saying,
which that was a win for me. I was
this
like,
is
I'll
on
take
the
it.
list. This is on list.
Ooh, made the list now.
It's on the list.
So Ad
Yeah.
Astra's merely an honorable mention.
I'm not going to go back and edit my list, but right here in this moment in time on this
Yeah.
podcast, I'm flipping.
Eric,
to.
you can't just do that. Lists are forever.
Yeah.
Your opinions have to
Okay.
stay the same.
Number 9.
Oh, I almost read that wrong. The Peanut Butter Falcon.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you did like that one a lot.
It's so good.
I'm trying to
It's
remember
so
what my number
heartwarming.
9 was.
You came to this
You want me to look
podcast
it for you?
without the list.
I thought I had them
I
memorized.
even had my list penciled out.
I think it
You hear that
was.
thump?
Here, I got you, Eric.
That was
Thank
my
you.
list.
Was it JoJo? Or is
It
that?
was JoJo.
Why do I always doubt myself?
Here, I'll have your list up and I'll have mine on my phone.
Okay.
Awesome.
Because I
Yeah,
have it in my
JoJo,
notes.
fantastic. I
I
loved
did
it.
want to kind of see that one, and
so
I'm just really hesitant because I don't know if I like the idea of mom dying in the end. I think that one would really mess with me. But everything else up to that would be good.
It's a sad part.
I actually think that's very true. She would
Yeah.
like the movie a lot up
Yeah.
until that moment.
Yeah,
Oh,
and then,
movie.
And then you
it
would have
would
shut
ruin
up
it
the
for
movie.
me. It would have
It's-
ruined it for me.
You would have loved the ending, though.
Yeah, it's a movie that happens to be.
I think you would
a-
have loved the ending. I'm
Oh, the
saying
ending's so
hypothetically,
good.
if you
Yeah.
get to the mom part and then you want to stop, I
The
think
mom
you
part-
would like the ending.
The
if
mom
you
part
kept
makes
going.
the ending even more beautiful and happy. Yeah, it was. Not
Oh, by
only-
the way, spoilers, but
Did-
not
you
only
find
was
it
it like the
bad?
funniest movie of the year, but also was just incredibly beautiful.
So that one I still might need to see. Okay.
8.
I almost read yours. For me, it was Fighting with My Family at number 8.
Oh, I still need to see that. For as much as I go on about how much I love Florence Pugh as an actress, I need to see that one.
I
But I
said-
always forget to go rent it and
I
watch
said
it.
in my article, other than the introduction of Florence Pugh, I have other reasons to love this movie, and there's so many.
No, excuse me. I did actually want to see that one in the theater.
Mm-hmm.
It's just one of those things where I didn't.
Yeah, that was me with Long Shot. I saw it late, and I was like, man, I would have seen this had it not been for Endgame to
Long
see that a couple
Shot, I did
times.
see 3/4 of it, and it didn't make the list because I didn't finish it.
But you still liked it, though. It was a good comedy.
It was okay.
Good
Yeah,
romantic comedy, I thought.
I liked him falling down the stairs.
That part is funny.
Sounds like a
was-
funny part.
Watching Seth
Hilarious.
Rogen fall down the stairs.
Slapstick is timeless.
Yeah.
It is
But there's also a
timeless.
lot of other clever, funny moments other than the slapstick ones as well. Anyway, but Long Shot's not on either of the lists. Eric, do you know what yours is?
I'm trying to think.
I'll give you a hint. It starts with an L.
Oh, Little Women.
Yeah.
Yeah, Little Women. So good.
Which
I love that movie so much.
that one ended up in my honorable mentions to my surprise because like I loved the cast in it, I loved the director in it. But it was another adaptation. I was like, what else could they do to this story really? And then I watched, I was like, oh, I get it. It's really good.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to change and it's still amazing.
Yeah, it's
and,
just a crazy
yeah.
non-linear take on a very, very well-known story, but
yeah, made me eat
It's
my words.
non-linear.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that would probably be interesting
it's
to watch.
really good.
Yeah.
And just so heartwarming.
Yeah. It
Oh.
really is.
I was so uplifted.
And that's why I
And
made your
inspired.
Okay,
list.
where are we at? Number 8
Number
or
Number
7?
7
Okay,
for
so
me
for
is The
7.
Farewell.
Oh.
Oh, I do want to see that one. That
So
one I will rent.
we've listed like 4
Okay.
movies, and like all of them, you've been like, "Oh, maybe I should have checked that one out."
It was a
Guess
good
what?
year.
They came out when you stopped going to the theater.
That is true.
Oh, The Farewell didn't really come here. That wasn't.
I saw it here.
That wasn't one that I was like, but only because
came to
you
that
have
smaller
the
theater we
flexibility of being
have.
like, oh, it's here, bam, I'm going.
That's a good point.
I thought it only came for like a week.
It wasn't here for that long, to be fair.
Yeah.
It was like maybe 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think it came to our theater for 2 weeks, and then it came to like an indie one in our town, and that's when I saw it. And I saw it before I went to see my own grandmother, and the story, I was not prepared for it to be as emotional as it was.
Yeah.
But at the same time, at the end,
my
you just come
I was
out
fighting
feeling
tears
happy
like
still.
the entire time I watched it.
Yeah, nearly.
And then I broke down. At
Near the end, I was like, "Oh, I don't know if I'm gonna make a lot of noises, a lot of crying noises, because it impacts you."
I saw it by
Alright,
myself.
That one I'm definitely going
It's
to.
beautiful.
You need
rent.
to. You need to.
You'll
But it can't make my list because I didn't see it in the theater.
At
Number
least you're
7.
being fair. At
Yeah.
least
Oh, wait,
being
that was
fair.
your 7.
Yeah.
My 7 was Marriage Story. So good, but so
You can't
depressing.
count that. You didn't see it in the theater.
Well, you're
We're
gonna
not saying. I'm saying these lists are literally called the top 10 movies of 2019.
you're not gonna
Ugh.
you're gonna hate where I put Marriage Story then.
Oh,
Marriage
guys.
Story, so good.
Ugh,
I admit
guys. Come
for our
on.
job, like it feels weird to have Marriage Story be in the
I don't
list,
think it does.
but I can't deny that the movie is really, really good.
It's amazing. It's totally one of the
It
best.
should have
movies
been
ever
in
of the
theaters.
year.
I wish Netflix can get off their high horse and make
It was
that
in
work.
theaters for people who were in big cities.
Oh, that doesn't count.
Ugh, I have
No,
a bad
I loved
taste in
it.
my mouth.
But it's
I love that movie. And Adam Driver's probably going to win Best Actor. He totally deserves it.
yeah. I saw the scene that's going to be the Oscar scene with Adam Driver, and I was like, and I texted Eric immediately. I was like, this movie's so good.
Is that the anger scene?
Yeah,
Yeah, I guess you could call it that.
yeah.
Right, where he's like freaking out and he finally realizes that he may lose custody of his child. And I've read
Well,
up
actually,
on,
there's a lot of those
Right.
type of scenes, but
but
that
I
one,
read
yeah.
up on that one at the end, and that it
he's
was
just,
a
like-
very powerful scene. Like he's so red in the face, and
Well, he's just complete. He's like having a panic attack. He's just like consumed by fear and anger, and then he starts hitting himself, and then he like collapses, and it's really, really hard to watch. And in any other context, it would look like a crazy person,
Yeah.
but because you totally understand what's going through his head, kind of like as well as you can without being him, you're watching it, and it's just like, oh my god, this is so rough. But it was honest.
Yeah,
Fantastic movie.
honest and fantastic.
fantastic
6.
TV show.
Number 6, I
I'm not
believe
gonna
this
call
is
it a
for
movie.
both of us. Knives Out.
Yep, Knives Out was mine's number 6 also.
I saw it the second time during the holiday. Unfortunately,
so
I had to be in the
good.
front row, so I'm like 6 inches from the screen with a neck cramp.
I used to
But I loved it even
exclusively
more.
sit in the front row.
What?
I used to exclusively sit in the front row.
Oh, that's a mistake.
Yeah,
I loved it. But then I was like, oh, the sound is better a little ways back. So
Well, in our theater, that's true. But this was at a different theater, so it was even louder for me. But I still love the movie even more than I did
Yeah,
the
it's
first
so
time. It's
good.
amazing.
I mean,
It's so much fun.
Of all the movies on this list, this is probably the most like accessible movie, I guess, or the most mainstream like movie. But even then, it's so clever and so, it's saying a lot of things subtextually also, and it's just, I don't know, it's incredible.
Mhm.
okay.
I do think that one
wanna
Cody
see that
will
one.
like.
Yep, I know how it ends. I want to see that one. I do.
Tells you the ending in the first 20 minutes,
Number 5.
in a way. Number 5 is Rockin' Man. I adore this movie.
That movie is so good. I probably should have
That
put that
was
in my
only
honorable
number
mentions.
5,
Mm-hmm.
and you didn't even make your list.
No. It's a good movie, though. It's
Oh.
There was a
very good
lot
movie.
of good movies this year.
It's a very good movie.
But no, I just was happy to see a biopic that, I mean, on the surface, it is kind of paint by numbers, but at least it does do something different with how to tell a story that is still
Yeah.
like the paint by number format. And I think Taron Egerton does deserve an Oscar
Oh my
nomination
gosh.
for
I hope
Elton
he
John.
gets nominated.
He won't.
He
There's no
won't
way.
because it was too early and people are stupid and are forgetful.
I don't know if it was
But-
that or if it's just I really think that because Bohemian won last year, they're not going to nominate
I just think
another
it's too
person of that
stacked.
one.
I just think it got too
I
stacked. at the end of
guarantee
the
you
year.
when the Oscar nominations come, I could probably try to find a guy to take out and put in Taron.
Yeah, he was so good. He made that movie.
Yeah.
And I mean, the fact
It
that
is very
he
well directed,
that
but he
he
did
could
steal that
sing
movie.
and act and do all of that
Mhm.
himself. This is where I think he is miles ahead of Rami Malek because he actually sang in that. Like that was him. That was him singing Elton John to the point where it really sounded like Elton John. It didn't sound like somebody copying.
that's cool.
For sure, Edgerton's probably a better singer than Rami Malek.
Yeah.
I don't want to discredit Rami
I have a
Malek. 'cause
hard
he did
time.
do a good job.
I have a
but-
hard time deciding whether or not the fact that he did his own singing makes the performance better, though. Like it's more impressive,
Yeah.
obviously, but Rami Malek's just not a singer. A lot of people aren't
Right.
singers, but his performance was still really good. I just like Rocket Man way more
Mhm,
than Bohemian Rhapsody.
for sure. I thought you did. Did you not see that one, Cody?
Yeah,
you did,
it
right?
made my list.
Oh,
I said
I'm not
it
paying.
was
I'm not paying attention to
Technically
anything
number
today.
2 on my list because I went and
Well, that
release-
makes me happy.
Very good movie.
release down. So, no, that was so good.
Yeah,
And-
That
and
was my
it's
number.
just getting overshadowed by Bohemian because Bohemian was so big the year before.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right about that. That was my number 5. What about
Number
you?
5 was Toy Story 4.
I didn't even make my honorable honorable mentions.
It gave me everything
Yeah,
I
but you
wanted.
have a weird.
It gave me
thing
everything
about
that I
Toy
didn't
Story.
even know I wanted. I was like,
Yeah, Toy Story 4 was very much a surprise. I didn't
everyone's like,
think
we
it
don't
was a
need this.
story.
The trilogy had the perfect
Okay,
ending.
I'll put it on my
Yeah.
honorable mentions only because my kids liked Forky and Girl Forky so much.
Oh, Forky is fantastic.
Such an incredible
And they kept
and
after
very,
the-
very deep character.
Do you guys
Oh my
remember
God.
the-
And after the movie, they were like, trash, trash.
You
So
guys
that part
remember
makes it.
the teaser for it where everyone's like kind of dancing, but then it's Forky and he's
Yeah.
freaking out. Right away, I was like, I'm going to love that
Oh, yeah.
character. I'm going
No,
to love him.
it's just so good, especially when there's so many sequels and reboots and stuff. This one is just like, yeah, I know we know that there's a lot of sequels out there, but this one needs to be told.
And
Deal with it, and it's like, okay, fine. And I
It
watched
stuck
it.
the landing.
Oh my God,
stuck
Toy
the
Story.
landing.
best film franchise in my opinion. It is my favorite.
Your
film
fandom
franchise.
life still exists.
Toy Story is not a fandom.
Do you own any Toy Story merchandise?
Yeah, I own Woody and Buzz.
Okay.
Pixar is a fandom.
I guess
I would say so.
I've been watching a lot of Pixar movies on Disney Plus. I watched Wall-E
I'm
yesterday.
not gonna
Because they're
lie.
really good.
Oh, after I talked about it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like
it's
going
so
through and I saw it and I was
good.
like, Cody, just watch that.
Yeah.
I'll watch it.
Wall-E is incredible.
I like because there's not a lot of dialogue in it.
Not really
It's
at
just-
all, at least in the first half.
It's just so heartfelt and it's just so simple and good.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful story. Yeah, that was my number 5. Number 4, Kyle.
I'm sorry, Cody, but Mare's Story is a really good movie.
If
And
you
it's at
could
number 4.
Categorize it a movie that doesn't play in theaters.
Next year,
but
she's going to make the
fine.
rules a bit
It's
tighter.
gonna be so sucky next year because all the best films are gonna be on streaming.
That is what I'm worried about. Like, I do want these movies to try and be released wide and not
Yeah.
just New York and then on Netflix. Like, let's stop doing that. Like, give people a chance to see this and on the screens because it will be worth it.
Yep.
But
I'm
I
just gonna
still
have to
got
start saving up for my home theater now. I'm gonna get a big projector, 5 sound bars, somehow sync them all up,
We
and
had
surround
listen-
myself
we
with
did a
them.
and listen to
projector
Adam
and
Driver have a
and-
panic attack.
Exactly.
And
the
do
first thing
that.
I'll test it out with.
To be honest, I don't like using the projector as much unless
You gotta have a really nice projector. Otherwise, it can be really dim and kind of blurry.
Well, you gotta have the right room.
And yeah,
Because we had window. We don't have a room that didn't have windows. When we had a basement that didn't, where we like fully took out the windows, the projector was awesome in there. But the basement also was kind of short, and it like the sound reverberated the
Yeah.
best, and we just didn't have that again. You need the perfect room for that.
exactly. Me, my number 4.
I don't. Yeah, you're number 4.
So
You
yours
haven't
was
said
Marriage
it.
Story. Excellent choice. Fantastic movie. Capital M movie. My number 4 is Midsommar because it's the movie I saw the most amount of times this year. I loved it even more every time I watched it. I went back and saw the director's cut. Love that. Everything about it. I love it.
When I first saw your list, I was shocked that it was not your number 1.
I kinda was too, you know?
Because I remember you going to it like 4 times. It was crazy.
Yeah, I just kept going back.
Yeah.
I was like,
I
I
wish-
love this thing.
I did wish I liked that movie a lot more than I did. Like, I was very impressed, and it is a very great movie, but just my impact of the movie, what I took away from it, it just wasn't, it wasn't something that I was going to keep going back to and remember.
Kyle
Most
doesn't
most
live off
inspiring
despair.
movie of the year.
It is not inspiring.
You haven't seen it?
It is gross.
That will always be my counter argument. You haven't seen it.
Well, that's funny that you say that I don't like to be despaired because number 3 is The Lighthouse, and I felt very despaired.
That's okay. Not as you don't live off of it the way Eric does.
No, but
You're saying that I live off of there's a lot of despair in this movie, but the thing that gets me is the triumph of the ending, and it's my favorite scene of the entire year.
it does make you feel good. Like, I mean, you still feel crummy, but there's that, whew, all right, at least
I didn't
something
feel crummy.
good.
I almost started crying. I had like tears welling up. I was like, this is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
But number 3, The Lighthouse, just a movie that I did not know what to expect, and I, excuse me, I came out loving it. I just loved every aspect of what this movie was trying to be and how it was constructed.
Oh, it puts you in a trance.
Yeah, no matter, even if you don't know what's going on initially or what they're saying, like, you're in a trance the whole time.
So good. That was in my honorable mentions. I love that movie.
What?
Yeah.
That didn't make your list? I thought that would be on your list for sure.
I like it. I love it. But the movies that ended up making my list made my list because on top of being really, really good movies that I loved, I took away, something I guess you could like beautiful from them. And The Lighthouse, unlike Midsommar, there's not like a beautiful takeaway. It's
Probably
very much just like
Oh, no, that's very
the
true.
sewer garbage movie
It's
that we
like-
talked about.
this guy murdered somebody and then tried to run away, and then when somebody tried to put him in his place, he resisted that, and so he will be forever eaten by birds.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of beautiful takeaways from that.
No, very
Is
true.
that Robert Pattinson's character?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's incredible.
He
It's so
murdered
good.
somebody in the beginning?
It's implied.
Oh.
He like murdered somebody and then he ran
Kind
away.
of like Brad
started
Pitt's
working at this
character
lighthouse.
murdered his wife implied.
My number 3 is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It's
That made my list.
a movie. Another movie I saw like 3 or 4 times. I
I
just
only
love it
had
so
one
much.
criticism, and that was the like super long, drawn out scene of him.
Might be my
with
favorite
the-
part of the movie.
Trying to walk down the hall to see if the old man is there.
Such a good scene.
I think for
hated
those that
that
really
part.
like the movie, they would probably be on the other end of that.
Yeah,
People
one of the best.
really do
One of
like
the
that
best scenes of the
scene.
movie.
Really,
I get that it is
was
really
so
long paced.
and it felt like it slowed that whole movie down. It was the 20 minutes that probably could have been cut to get
I
it.
disagree so strongly.
Ugh.
And it just because Cliff Booth was the best part of that whole movie,
Yeah.
and that scene was all about him. He's already the best friend ever you could
Yeah.
ever ask for to Leo Prio's character, and then that scene was just him, this guy he barely even knows. But you know what? I got to check on him because
Yeah.
that's who I am. I want to make sure he's okay.
I liked his dialogue with her. I just think it could have just been cut down a little bit, and he still could have checked on him, and the guy still could have been like, now
Like
you're gonna
I've
make her
always said, I
mad.
feel like that's an easy thing to suggest.
Yeah.
But if the movie did it, it
But I-
would not feel the
I
same.
at least saw it, and
You at least saw it.
and
Good
I still
job.
feel strongly about that.
Love that movie.
I wish that one made it into my list. I tried to find a way to make it work, but had to be an honorable mention.
All of my movies.
I
are
was surprised. I thought that
heartwarming.
would have been the one we all put on a list.
Yeah.
Like
I don't
I
think there's
said, I
gonna be any
tried.
movie that we all
Okay.
put on the list.
I tried.
I don't think there's not one this year.
Number 2 is Jojo Rabbit.
Oh, you put that higher.
I can't argue with it.
It's so good.
It's
like
very,
it's
very
so
good.
surprising that Taika was able to do what he did with the story about a boy trying to be a Nazi and make it like entertaining, make it funny, but yet make it heartfelt, make it a story about
And insightful.
an insightful
It does so
story
many
about
things.
like growth, about learning about people different from you, about
Well, just
childhood,
just
fantasy.
puts a very
is-
important focus on how people get indoctrinated. Because it
Yeah.
just starts out so naively, which is so sad.
yeah.
You know? These kids just want to be cool
Mm-hmm.
and have friends. So they're easy to, like, hey,
Yeah.
we'll pick that guy. He's very vulnerable.
But it makes it relatable, even though it's about a kid trying to become cool and have friends in like the Nazi regime. It's just so impressive what Taika was able
It's
to
like,
do.
yeah, all these kids are wearing swastikas on their arms, but gosh, I love them.
I think it's probably my favorite Taika Waititi movie.
It probably is my favorite.
I think it had, yeah. The more I say, the more it makes sense.
It's very good.
I have to see it, but I still like What We Do in the Shadows.
It's a very good movie.
Oh yeah, all of his movies are great, but
Yeah.
this one I was like, yeah, might overtake it. Might overtake it for me.
Yeah, it's very, very admirable what he did.
What's
What
your
was
number 2?
Number 2.
My number 2 is Parasite, which you guys didn't see.
I'm
but
seeing it in a few days.
It's so good.
I've
I've
it's
already
showing here. I'm gonna go
Talked
see
at
it.
length, but this movie is. If I could, it's probably what I would say is the best movie of the year. It's just not. It's almost my favorite, but it's not quite there.
Mm-hmm.
Again, just because of what I took away from it. But the movie itself, it's so well made, so well written, so well acted, so well everything.
I'm so bummed that I didn't see that one in time, as well as like 1917 or Uncut Gems. Like I think there could have been so many that I haven't seen yet from
Well,
2019 that still could have made it on my list.
you would have had to have been in New York and LA.
Yeah,
I saw Uncut
exactly.
Gems, but
I couldn't.
yeah, I guess it never came here, did it?
No,
Oh.
even on my vacation, I went to see Knives Out over it. So
You had the opportunity.
I
That's
tried to.
interesting.
I couldn't win. I didn't win the argument. I tried to make
you
a
had
strong
to deal
case.
with other people's opinions.
Mhm.
Oh God.
Family and the sorts. So still,
All right.
Knives Out, really good movie.
Number 1, Kyle.
It's Avengers Endgame.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, complete. Part of it is complete bias, fanboy love, but also I think it's just so incredible and impressive what they were able to do.
Very impressive.
Just to tie up like a perfect, almost a perfect ending into a 22 movie franchise series.
Yeah.
And
My
I
number-
cried during it, so yeah, it was.
My number 1 was The Farewell, which I also cried during.
Farewell's just so good.
Every scene in that movie. It was either just a big family being there for each other, which is beautiful, or
Mhm.
like just heartbreaking like irony knowing that she's dying but seeing people talk to her as if she's not.
Yeah,
It's just it's such a deeply moving movie. I don't know. I can't stop thinking about how it got to me.
Yeah, I know how much you love that one. It was still so surprising to see it be number one.
Yeah. My honorable mentions were Uncut Gems, The Lighthouse, now I guess Ad Astra, originally Avengers Endgame.
Yeah, and mine would be Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Shazam, Us, Spider-Man,
So
Ford
many.
vs. Ferrari, Little Women, and Booksmart. There was a lot of good movies.
Honorable mentions, would you honestly put Spider-Man Far From Home maybe on your top 10 of the year?
No, but I did keep thinking about that movie.
I didn't
really liked
want
it.
to have a lot of honorable mentions. To me, an honorable mention was like something that could have snuck in, but ultimately didn't.
Sure. I mean, if I had to get rid of one and even my honorable mentions, it probably would have been Far From Home, but
Interesting.
I still liked it.
Yeah.
What'd
saw-
you
we
think
saw
of
a
our
lot of
list,
movies.
I
Cody?
thought your list was great.
Yeah, there was not a single
there
movie
was
all
one
three of us had.
film
was
that
there?
should not be named as a movie on the list, but that was good, guys. Good job.
Oh, the amazing Netflix movie. That's very well could win Best Picture.
I don't think it'll win Best Picture, but I think Adam Driver will probably get nominated. Scarlett Johansson might get nominated, but I don't think she'll win for it.
I don't think she'll win.
But
She very well could,
yeah,
but
Renee Zellweger is hanging around.
I think
Yep.
her and Judy is probably
Yeah.
the sure.
that's what everybody thought about Glenn Close, though. And then
That's true. Well, they thought Glenn Close was going to get it, not because that role was particularly good, but because it was her time.
yeah, I know.
That's a good point.
I think people are actually saying Renee Zellweger did well on Judy.
Yeah, but other than that, nobody really cares about Judy. The movie got
No.
pretty average, some even below average reviews. I don't
Was
think it
there
made a lot of
any-
money.
Was there any films that got really great reviews this year, or did they all seem like they were pretty average? The
Almost
Oscar baiting ones.
I feel like there weren't that many Oscar baiting movies this year.
Yeah.
The ones that there were, like Just Mercy or I don't know, that one, they
Yeah.
got pretty average. But most of the ones on my list, with the exception of Jojo Rabbit, got very, very good reviews.
Yeah, I mean,
I was just wondering.
maybe Rocket Man might have had
Rocketman was
lower
above average, but
scores or reviews or whatever, but it still was pretty
not in the same realm
praised.
as most of the others, but that was still up there.
Yeah.
Do you think this will be the first Oscars where we have more Netflix movies?
Yeah. Oh, Netflix is going to be dominating this year.
Yeah.
Between
There's going to be a lot of Marriage Story nominations, Irishman nominations.
Do you think there'll be Irishman nominations?
Yeah. Irishman, I would
I
say
feel like
is
that's-
right now.
I feel like that's gone from the chatter.
No,
already.
it just won another top prize at another award ceremony.
Did it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Irishman is pretty good. I don't personally think it's one of
It
the
didn't
best
make
of the year.
either of your lists.
Yeah.
No, it's incredibly well
'Cause it's
made.
not a
But
real
again,
movie, but
gangster
that's
movies,
fine.
when it comes to what I get from it, I think it's a very, very well told story.
Yeah.
It was incredibly engaging for as long as it is.
Yeah, for sure.
But again, all the other movies on this list to me have an element of like hope or people being there for each other or,
Is that like your theme this year?
yeah.
yeah, for
When,
me, it was
when I
just,
look over these movies, all of them have that going for them.
for me, the one connection I kept finding was like creative storytelling or just engaging storytelling. Like that's what I was really leaning towards with these, is that the stories were interesting. Some were complex. Some of them
That's what you want
made me
from a
feel
movie.
different feels. Yeah, exactly. I just noticed that a lot in this year's crop
It
of
was a
movies.
great
when
year.
Among the midst of
I like
meh.
to say that when I see your guys' lists and stuff, and for your top 10s and your honorable mentions for the most part, to me, I think they would fit in Scorsese's, account
Definition.
of
True cinema.
of cinema. Yeah, I don't
No,
feel like
I-
that's lost in there at all. They all got at one point wide releases. They all made it to theaters. They except for one.
almost all of them.
Almost except for one, but for the most part they were all accessible films that you could have watched theatrically, that you, like you said, had despair but told a good, uplifting point at the end.
Absolutely. And that's my favorite thing
Right.
in movies is just like I
And-
like to run the gamut of emotions, but then come out on the end like truly having like felt something.
And at 10 of those you could have had one a month almost all year, plus your honorable mentions, and what more could you ask for?
Exactly. That's why I think
Exactly,
it was a fantastic
Cody.
year.
What more could you ask for?
I
a
say
lot
that
of good
now.
movies.
I didn't have.
I made a point in my top 10 article to say like most years I'll make my top 10 and it'll be movies that I liked, but usually only like 3 of them like stay with me.
Yeah.
Like right now, I'm trying to think of what my top 10 of 2018 were. I don't remember. I know Hereditary was on there, and I know what else was on there.
I think Hereditary was on there for me.
I don't point proven. I hope that doesn't happen with this one. It very well might, but right now
But
in the
Three
moment,
Billboards that year.
I feel like 2019 was a fantastic year.
I definitely saw way more
Not the best of
movies
the
in
decade,
2018.
but definitely one of the better years of the decade.
Yeah, what a decade! That's
a lot
crazy.
of stuff happened.
That's so crazy.
Well, yeah, that's all we
Yeah,
got
that's
for today's
pretty much it.
podcast anyway.
There's a lot of stuff we talked about.
Oh my gosh.
Throat's dry.
Beginning of a new year, guys.
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
New year, new movies.
I wonder what the first movie I'll see of 2020 will be. I'm probably not
In
going to
the
see
theater?
The Grudge. Yeah, I probably won't see The Grudge.
Well, this weekend it's The Grudge, and then next weekend is
Oh, and probably 1917. But that's technically a 2019 movie.
Well, that's widening out, and then
Same
it's
with Just
Underwater.
Mercy.
Just
I
Mercy.
think
Underwater,
looks so
Like a
And-
Boss,
Like a Boss.
the Paramount comedy.
Yeah. What is the
Probably 1917 would be my first, or I'm still trying to see Richard Jewell.
Yeah, those are 2019 movies, though.
I know, but it'll be my first one to see in the theater.
I'm trying to think of what the first.
Actually, wait, Parasite might be my
What
first.
new movie will rake in or welcome my new decade?
After
Would
Underwater,
welcome or you would have seen.
Will welcome.
after Underwater and Like a Boss is Doolittle and Bad Boys for Life.
I will probably end up seeing Doolittle. I don't know why, but I'll probably see it.
And then what's
The more I watch
after
the
that?
trailer, the more I'm like weirdly moved by it. I don't know why.
You just saw where that tiger gets his crotch kicked, and you're like, "Oh, this is gonna be a
No,
great
when
movie."
Robert Downey Jr. is like, it's okay to be afraid. I'm like, you're goddamn right, Robert. It is okay to be afraid.
Thanks, Iron Man. I mean, Robert. I mean,
Life is scary.
Doolittle. I mean, Sherlock.
Tony Stark's death hit me so hard again. Watching
Dude.
it, it's just so earned. Everything in that movie is so pays off so.
Join the
perfectly.
Marvel fandom. It's really
God,
safe.
no.
There really isn't that
God, no.
many diehard fans. It's just casuals. I
God,
promise you. It's
Never.
okay.
I'm so done with fandom. That movie, it is a very different Marvel movie though.
Ooh,
Yeah.
The Gentleman. That
Yeah.
That looks good.
That's
I
Guy
like
Ritchie,
that one.
right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
Guy
yeah,
Ritchie.
I'll probably see
Guy
it.
Ritchie movies are hit and miss for me
The
nowadays.
Turning, Gretel and Hansel,
Ooh,
the,
I might see Gretel and Hansel.
the Rhythm section, and then that's it for
I get
January.
so angry when the rhythm section trailer comes on. I
They
don't
show
know
it a
why.
lot.
Birds of Prey.
I see it in almost every movie. Birds of Prey honestly might be the first movie that
you
I
guys
will
will
like.
you'll want to see that Fantasy Island.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh. Isn't that is that the Wendy one, or is that
No.
Wendy one's called Wendy.
It is called Wendy. Okay.
So excited.
Fantasy Island, it looks...
Sonic the
Isn't
Hedgehog.
that like a really old TV show?
We're
I
in
think it's a
the
remake.
February movies
Might have.
now.
I
You
don't
will have
remember.
seen something by then.
Yeah, mine will probably be Doolittle.
I'm going to be honest, I'm probably going to try to avoid a lot of January releases if I can help it, just so that way I can see stuff like 1917 or Uncut Gems.
I might try to go check
Maybe
out Like
Just
a Boss
Mercy.
because I like a good comedy.
See, that's always the trap you fall
I
into.
know,
Yeah.
and then I'm always disappointed.
You
And you
always are. I'm like, how? Tiffany Haddish Paramount movies.
I know.
No.
Girls Trip was a one-trick pony.
Yes.
It was a really good one-trick pony, but it was a one-trick pony.
Yes, it was.
You mean
I
a
do like
one-hit
Rose
wonder?
Byrne, though.
What?
Do you mean a one-hit wonder?
Yeah, I take your pick. I don't
One
care.
trick pony I like.
Trick pony's like not usually a compliment.
Oh, well, all right, one-hit wonder.
I
I
don't
don't care.
Yeah.
I still haven't seen it. I just know a lot of people liked it.
All I gotta say is good luck in January. Like, outside of the movies that came out last year,
Right.
there's
January is going to be a
I don't
little
know.
weak. February doesn't look much better.
Birds of
How
Prey.
all the years are.
You know, but
Birds of Prey might be the saving grace.
maybe, but I've
maybe.
actually found a lot of clients asking not to play it at all.
Do you know why though?
R-rated
said-
female movie.
They said
I
it
don't-
doesn't look good, and they do not want to play that. And I'm like,
Is that
really?
unusual? Do they have that
Yeah.
reaction to other movies?
Which
Why
is-
this
No.
one?
I don't know.
Did they have that
R-rated
reaction
female
to
action
Suicide
movie.
Squad?
No, I don't get
And
it.
it had the name Suicide in it.
And it's and I'm kind of trying to read more into that kind of sentiment because a lot of them were telling me that they really wanted Midway. I'm like, that looks dumb. Looks like a knockoff.
I think
like,
it looks awful. It looks like the
Yeah.
ultimate movie that your grandparents would go see at like
but
1
it
p.m.
did
on a
so
weekday.
well for them. It obviously tapped into something that I wasn't seeing. So I'm hoping that
The old people.
The old people. Well, I'm hoping that Birds of Prey,
the
maybe
elderly.
that there is something there that people are just like, no.
I guess it depends on the markets. It's hard for me. I can't participate in conversations like that because I know that they're probably speaking from dollar signs. You know,
Yeah.
that's how they're approaching it, and
Or
that's just not
or
how
they
I
just-
look at it. So
I wonder if there's a pushback, like people really want to play more uplifting stuff, and that is
maybe
degenerate. I
I
think
feel like it's a new decade. It's a clean slate.
Yeah.
Should play anything and everything.
I'm really excited to see Ewan McGregor in that movie, so I'm
I'm
kinda
gonna
hot
see
on
it, but I mean, I don't have any expectations one way or the other.
I don't think it'll be great.
It's
I
going to
don't
be
think
the
it'll
greatest movie of 2020.
Like I always say,
Yeah.
I always want a movie to be good. Why would I want to go
Right.
see a bad movie?
No, and
But-
I think it'll be good. I meant commercially. I don't think it'll be great. I don't think it'll be a huge
don't know.
success.
I'll guess Shazam numbers.
I'll guess less because I think it's going to be R.
It is. R.
It is
It's
R,
definitely
yeah.
R.
And Shazam was PG-13. So
Yeah, but Suicide Squad was R, and this one,
And Joker was R.
But
I don't
Joker
know.
was actually, I would argue, probably a better movie.
we haven't seen this one yet.
That's
And
true.
I really,
for Erik, it was-
really hope this movie's better than Joker.
Yeah, for some people that might be.
It's so funny because Ken saw Joker and he's like, I loved it.
Yeah,
He's like, it's crazy, and you would not like it, Cody, but he knows that I would not like that movie.
it's just. Again, the thing that I'm seeing, a lot of people aren't seeing, and I totally
Yeah.
understand why. It's just I can't not see what I see in
Right.
that movie.
I even had a comment about somebody that saw it recently, and apparently she leaned over to her husband and she's like, why are we here during that movie?
It's just such an amateur movie.
Why are we here? Why are we doing this to ourselves?
What are we doing? What's
Yeah.
going on?
Take Rise of Skywalker's non-stop action that distracts you from how nonsensical it is.
Yeah.
That's kind of how Joker is, but instead of non-stop action, it's just like really creepy scenes and creepy looking people to
Yeah.
distract you from what they're actually saying, which is just, oh God. I need to see it again though.
Do you think
Wow.
Joaquin will
I
get
love-
nominated?
He will.
Yeah, probably.
Do you think he'll win, or will it be Adam Driver?
I think Adam Driver will win.
Eric hopes it's going to be Adam Driver, but I would
I would not be angry if Joaquin won, because Best Actor is about the performance. It's not
Yeah.
the script, and you have to take into account that was Joaquin's script. You know, so as horrible as the script was, he made it as good as he could.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
God, the script was so bad. I haven't thought about that in a hot minute.
Yeah, now we're getting Eric mad. Maybe we should
When is
pivot.
its VOD date?
I don't
Maybe
know. It's probably now,
I'll have to
honestly.
watch it again.
I figured it would have been out by now.
Because, I mean, I'm sure I'll like it slightly more than the first time I watched it, but I just gotta. I watch it and I'm picturing the script in my head next to the movie.
It is on VOD.
Now?
Yeah,
Okay.
it will go on DVD on the 7th.
Oh, that's in like 2 days.
Yeah.
I'll head down to my local video store and rent a Blu-ray copy.
Support your local
Actually, I can't. My
stores.
stupid Xbox doesn't read Blu-rays anymore.
Really?
So
Oh.
I can only
Really?
rent DVDs. Yeah.
That's so weird.
Wait,
Yeah.
which one is it?
It's the first Xbox One model.
Oh,
It's old now. It's old and dusty.
it's old and
It's
dusty.
been hauled all over the
Are
place.
you going to get one of those next generation consoles
I
that are
feel
just
like-
streaming?
I feel like I'm gonna join PC Master Race before that.
Yeah,
If you just look at the new Xbox, it's literally just a computer tower.
it is.
That's all it is. And so I'm like, yeah.
Part
At
of
this
me
point,
is
I'm
like,
just gonna do
I
it.
don't like the idea of not having discs. Like,
Oh, that's long gone. I haven't bought a physical game in a long time.
really?
I have
Ugh.
no sentimental attachment to physical video games like I do physical movies or
not-
albums.
A sentimental thing. Like, I just find that unless you have really great internet, I just can't stream it fast enough to like. It loads so slowly that I.
Well, the
I
thing
hate it.
anymore though, there's not really a difference because the games
Right.
are discs anymore. All they are is basically just a permission key because the games are so big they don't fit on those discs.
Right.
So you have to install it anyways.
I know.
If you
And
could
then
still
there's
just pop
all
in the disc
patches.
and play it, hell yeah, I would be buying all my games physical copies. But the installation time's the same,
Yeah.
and this way I don't have to switch out a disc if I want to play a different game.
Oh,
I hate that.
the effort that takes.
Yeah. If it takes the same amount of time, this will just make it a little bit easier.
Well, let's hope you don't have to get it on disc then. Joker.
I did start playing Witcher 3 again after watching Witcher.
My girlfriend just started playing Witcher 3 for the first time.
What's awesome is I left the the expansions. I haven't done them yet, so that's what
haven't
I'm
done 'em
playing.
either.
That's what I'm
They're
playing
supposed
now.
to be so good. They're like huge,
Yeah.
like basically like their own games.
Yeah, the next I'm doing, is it like Heart and Stone right now? And
Yeah. There's Blood into Wine or
Yeah.
Blood Wine and Heart. I think it's Hearts of Stone.
yeah,
or
Hearts of Stone. That's what
something
I'm
like
playing.
Nice.
I'm
I need
excited.
to. I
It's
do
so
need to play
good.
those. Maybe when she finishes, I'll borrow her copy because it's like the Game of the Year edition that has those expansions in it.
Did she get that then?
Mhm.
Oh, is she playing it? She's not playing the story in it. Is she just playing?
She's
the
doing
story?
the main story right now.
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
Does she like it?
Yeah. How can you
How,
not?
I don't know how you wouldn't like it.
That's like arguably the most acclaimed game of the decade. Well, there are a lot of acclaimed games over the decade, but that's way up there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, decades. Video games. Decades. Things.
Are you wanting me to sign out now? Get
If
us
you
out
want,
of here?
I'm just thinking about
Just
the decade.
rambling.
Yeah,
now.
I'm just trying to find the right spot to be like.
A lot
"Oh,
of things happen over this decade.
but we have too much. We don't have enough time to talk about it all. Okay, everyone.
Well, on the next podcast, our
Um,
decade in review.
Next podcast, we'll probably be breaking down everyone's favorite awards ceremony,
Yes,
the Golden
that-
Globes.
And we'll be
Oh,
doing
that's a
our
good
Oscar
point.
predictions because the
Oh yeah,
next
when are those?
podcast is going to be on the 10th, and the Oscar nominations come out the 13th.
Oh, so we'll be doing our own
yeah, voting
Yep.
just
Our
started
official
today, actually,
speculations.
so-
Yeah. Yeah,
Yes,
the
or,
voting for the
guesses.
nominations started
predictions. There we go.
this week and will be done and tallied and announced on the 13th.
It is going to be interesting to see how that turns out because, in theory, this will be the first year where a lot more people can actually see the nominees
Yeah.
because they're sending out they're able to stream the nominees instead of
They're not
being
just
mailed
doing
a
screeners.
crappy standard definition DVD screener that nobody's going to watch. So I wonder if that'll affect things.
Well,
I
maybe.
hope so. I think in a perfect world, you wouldn't vote for something unless you saw it. Like, I didn't nominate movies that I didn't see on my top 10 list that was
That's-
not a top 10.
That's integrity.
Yeah.
Something Rise of Skywalker doesn't have. Just had to get one last thing in
So,
there.
Kyle, what's up with the website?
Well,
Take us away.
our
Yeah.
website is there still on the internet, silverscreeninsider.com, where you can find all of your all the movie information and all sorts of other things for theater owners to have at their disposal.
Like, I just looked up the VOD date for Joker. That
And-
can be found on our
Thanks,
site.
Cody.
That's a very good example.
Yeah.
So please check us out there. If you haven't subscribed to us already, please do. And you can also check out our podcast here on the site, but as well as other podcast platforms all over,
Like Spotify.
like Spotify, which we finally got into.
Yes.
Cool.
All right. Well, happy New Year to everybody. I wish everybody good luck in 2020 and best of wishes.
Thank you. Go see movies.